Welcome to the Awakened Energy podcast with me, Tom So, the founder of Awakened Energy Healing and midway of the path of conscious transformation and deep inner healing. If you're new here, you want to calm the mind, get involved with all the stuff we do at midway, you can join the community. It's all in the description below. But today is all about the lovely Dr. Paul Hubbert for part 2, episode 2. So everybody was loving the first episode. I was getting loads of great feedback about your knowledge and all your wisdom as well. So we're looking to delve a little bit deeper with some of the topics because we didn't get to go into some really juicy stuff. And I've read about 3/4 of your book as well. I was hoping to have finished it, but I've done about 3/4 of it. So I've got a little bit more to ask you. And we've got some questions from listeners as well for you.
Great.
Who have asked me to ask you some stuff. So, and people are interested in your Egypt trip as well. So we can maybe talk a bit more about all the cool stuff you got going on. So Dr. Paul is an author. If you haven't listened to the last one, author, multidimensional sound master, and founder of the Institute of Holographic Sound and Inner Balance. Paul holds a PhD in psychology, is certified in grief recovery, hypnosis addiction, and he's a multidimensional sound master, ordained minister, Reiki master, and crystal power grid worker. So great credentials, loads and loads of knowledge, really good life experience. So we're looking to delve into some of these topics a bit further. So Paul works with the Hathor energy, and the Hathors are masters of sound and love, along with the angelic realms to manifest health in the physical body and the inner spirit as well. So Dr. Paul blends vocal harmonics and crystal singing bowls to access the healing vibration of sound and music in its multidimensional holographic form. So this is known as holographic sound healing. So we didn't actually get to go into that as much as I would have liked in the last episode. So if you're tuning into this episode now, go back and watch the previous one with Dr. Paul. Amazing episode. And then you'll have a bit more context for this, where we're going to dive a little bit deeper and go into some other topics too. So Dr. Paul, thank you so much for coming back.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you. And thanks for having me.
No, it was great fun last time, and you're an absolute pleasure to talk to. So much knowledge. And before we came on, before we started recording and we were chatting, we were just mentioning that we had both been feeling a very intense sort of clearing and energy going on personally and collectively leading up to that last full moon. So that would have been was it the 30th of July or 1st of July, around then?
Well, today's the 2nd of July, so it's probably the 1st of August. That or the last part of May.
The last, yeah, okay. Yeah, I meant that the night that we were feeling it, the full moon.
Yeah. That, on the full moon, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you just want to tell everybody a little bit about what can kind of happen around these events and what we were kind of experiencing.
Well, this last full moon, which was a blue moon, in particular, it's, all full moons do hold, their own special energies, but this one, and I didn't realize it until it hit, because I was feeling stuff prior to the full moon, and it's like, what's going on? What's happening? There's something funny with the energy. And then all of a sudden the full moon hit, and it's like I realized at that point, it's like we're getting an up-leveling in our energy as humanity on Earth. It's like the frequency made a jump, and it's kind of thrown everybody off a bit, in that not really, that it was kind of unexpected. At least for me it was unexpected. Others I've talked to felt similar, and what it is, though, is just simply a rising of our vibration in humanity, but it's a little chaotic, and so it's a little bit, it's tricky to navigate, because it's bringing up all kinds of things, all kinds of changes that are occurring, and it could be personal and relationships and things like that. It could be business. It could be just simply general in your, your emotional body. But things are, definitely there's a shift going on, and I just encourage you to ride the wave. Stay above the chaos as best possible and not get drug into it. Not deny it, but don't get drug into it either.
I completely agree that it's so much stuff has been coming up for me personally because it was just like emotions after emotions after emotions, but it was stuff that nothing had even happened. It was like
Exactly.
nothing happened
I
that way.
know.
It was just it was
Yeah.
like it was like purging cycles that I've had with the Kundalini and stuff like that before. But it was like so intense, and it'd been going on for days. So it says the last full moon was June 30th, and it was a strawberry moon. So maybe you were talking
Correct.
about the
Well,
previous one was a blue
I'm
moon.
sorry. Yeah, the previous one. Yeah,
Yeah,
the May, the full moon in May.
in May. So this one here was June 30th, and it was a strawberry moon. And prior to that and during that, it was so much stuff coming up for me. It was, and this one too has been very, very intense. So I don't know
Yeah.
if anyone else has been experiencing that too. You can drop us a wee comment and you let us know if you felt the energies really, really strong as well. I feel like it is. It's just forcing anything that's repressed up as you're like upgrading, as you're leveling. It's forcing out all that lower
Exactly.
vibrational stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So since our last conversation, I had never heard of the Hathors. You enlightened me of sometimes how they can appear, what they do, and then I gave an account of where I'm pretty sure one was above my bed doing some form of healing work on my energy body,
Yeah.
and I was doing an energy healing session for somebody between our last podcast, and this like language started coming through, and it was it was like people maybe heard the phrase light language, but I don't know if it was like do half have their own language and sound that they use particularly, or is it all vibration?
Well, it's mainly vibration and sound, vibration through sound. But they speak our language, whatever and whatever language you speak, they will speak to you in your language. But they will also come through if they're bringing specific frequencies through. They may come through in a light language form, or simply in sound, in music.
Yeah, it was like this. It was like hana oh hana like vowels, like accentuated vowels, and it was like
Yeah,
hana
yeah,
oh hana oh, like really. It was very odd. I'd never experienced that before.
yeah, yeah.
Does
Yeah,
does
the
that make any
vowels,
sense to you?
it does, and that's also very significant in early Egyptian time. The Egyptians, and they this came through from the Hathors as well, and was a like a hangover from Atlantis, but using those vowel sounds for shifting the energy of the body, for accelerating the vibration in the chakras, in the energy centers. And the
Okay.
vowels are very significant to that. The 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 O's, the A's, the E's, and so on.
I knew stuff was going on correlating to chakras, and I knew it was like it was helping the energy healing process that I was doing for the women during the session. And
Right.
like, and what she reported back afterwards, she was mind blown of what she experienced. It was a really, really strong session, and I knew something was going on, and they were using that sound and vibration to help like
Yeah.
accelerate or like even boost the process that was going on. So I was just letting it happen, and I was going with it. That's why I wanted to ask you if any of that made sense to you.
It does. Yeah,
Okay.
it definitely makes sense. That's that's how it works.
So are they aware of sound and its healing potentials and vibration? I'm guessing they know so much more than we do in regards to the actual transformative healing nature of these tones, these vowels, these certain vibrations. Are we just touching upon this knowledge, or have we lost this knowledge?
We've had it and lost it, and we lost it a long, long time ago. Like 5,000 years ago. And we began to. It's like it wasn't a overnight thing. It's as time went on in those beginning in those early Egyptian times, as time went on and our vibration got denser and denser, then we lost the ability to utilize certain abilities with sound. They just faded away. The next generation wasn't able to pick up what the previous generation could bring through, and then on and on and on until, till there was nothing, in a sense,
So why did if we were like very high vibrational beings, and maybe even not in physical bodies and form, why did our vibration become so dense, and for us to be having this really dense experience in our universe right now?
Well, our vibration right now is actually higher than it was 1,000 years ago, higher than it was 100 years ago. It's continuing to rise. But see, like this, the two full moons back, the blue moon, that May full moon, um, that, see, how do I put this? That's just an example of the vibration continuing to rise, what we've experienced since that time. And it's like humanity. We exist literally on a pendulum of energy. And this pendulum swings about 26,000 years. And there's 5,200 year cycles within the 2,600, thereabouts, average. And obviously we're in one of those cycles, and we're in a cycle on the swing of the pendulum where our vibration is rising again. But we went through what we know as the Dark Ages back, like 1,500 years ago. And from that time, that was like the low point. And then from there, now we've begun to rise ever since then, and hit a pivotal point around 1999 to 2000. And I talk about this in my book. That time where we took a leap in vibration. But that doesn't mean that all of a sudden the earth looks beautiful. I mean, it is beautiful, but that let's all just get along. I mean, it doesn't mean that that's what's happening, which obviously it's not. What it does mean, though, is that things are rising to the surface. And that's what the vibration, it's like it shakes things up when our vibration rises. And things begin to float to the surface. And at that point, we have a choice. And the choice is, do we continue to uplift or allow our vibration to rise, or do we resist and stay in a lower vibration? So we've got, that's in the forefront right now, and what we choose to do.
I see it like a good analogy is kind of like when you clean your house. It gets messier before it's clean because you're pulling everything out and you're getting everything out and you're tidying up, and it looks really messy, but then you start to clean it out. It's kind of what's happening, isn't it, on a global scale?
Yeah, and that's a good reference, because that's what my house looks like. It's gotten messy. Now it's time to do the cleaning.
Yes. So the Hathors, when they are working on our energy bodies and trying to then uplift consciousness, are they applying more light to the chakras? Do you know exactly what they're doing, or is it still a little bit of a mystery?
It's much of it is a mystery, but what the words you just used, that's a good kind of a good analysis of what's going on. They're bringing in more light, but it depends on the person. It depends on what we're working on. They will bring in light, but it doesn't always mean that all of a sudden, let's say you've got a physical illness. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden that illness is gone. It depends on the person, the individual, and what their path entails. What their personal life path entails whether it's time for say a physical illness to release and go, or whether there's still something going on that needs to be addressed, attended to, looked at before it then can relieve. And it could be that you transition if it's something really serious. You know, that your higher consciousness, your higher self has chosen to take this time to make its transition. You never know. And it's not up to us to know. So what they're doing is simply bringing in, as you said, they're bringing in light, but bringing in light doesn't always look the way that we would like to see it looking. You follow me?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, because it might not be in the physical. It might not be like somebody standing there blasting a torch on you. It could be being done through, like on a different plane or something like that. You can't see it happening.
Well, yeah, but you see when we think about light coming in, we think about oh, I'm healed and I'm 100% again. That's not what it means. That may not correlate with your life's path. And the other thing is, we all have personal responsibility for the shifts, the changes that occur in our lives. And if we've got a level of resistance, let's say somebody that's been really ill, and unfortunately, sometimes a person can get into a pattern of, well, I like it when people are taking care of me and waiting on me, So if I get well, then I have to give that up. Now, this is typically unconscious, but that's something that occurs. They're getting a payoff for not getting well, or not getting in total balance again.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. So, when you're using holographic sound, holographic sound came through to you in a download, and afterwards you started to use holographic sound through singing and sound bowls. Can you just tell us a bit more about how the sound went from 2D to 5D, and then kind of what's happening to somebody who's receiving then that healing?
Well, how it made that shift was, again, back in that 1999-2000 time period, where we reached a level of consciousness to where we could once again hold the vibration for holographic sound or for multidimensional sound. And what that is a blending, and this is part of the information that I received. It's a blending of sound and geometries. And through the geometries, the sound is able to open or to expand into its multidimensional form. And when we expand into that multidimensional form, we're moving into 5D energy. And so it takes it from our 3D level and boosts it, or just essentially just opens it into that fifth dimensional vibration. And when we're there, we can hit every level of consciousness. And that's what separates, or is, I don't even want to say separates, that's what the up-leveling is of sound essentially linearly used versus holographic sound where we're multidimensionally using it.
So sound is vibration, and then
Correct.
And both of those are actually sacred geometry, which make up the sound and vibration.
Sound geometry is just another way of looking at the vibration. But there are certain things where we can tweak that to really accentuate the potential of the sound. And that's through using geometric techniques. I mean, you can have geometry and it's just sitting there unless you know how to utilize it for the purpose of expansion.
So can you give us an example of that, of what you mean in something practical terms, so we can understand?
Well, see, that's what I teach.
Yeah.
And we're not actually here to do a training right now.
No,
But
no sneaky previews though.
now I do reveal some in my book.
Yep.
So and that's the healing power of holographic sound. But it's utilizing specific geometric foundations or design, but it's more than just the design. It's literally um, um, it's the visualization or the imagination of utilizing these geometries and in the particular geometries and then blending the sound with it. That's what opens it up.
So the geometries are kind of like a key to the lock,
Um, yeah, kind of.
in a way.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Okay, I'll try to understand it, because I think I would
Because
need to do your course to understand it properly.
it's definitely opening it up. So it would be like a key, or yeah, the geometry would be like a key for the sound. It's like, imagine the sound being um, you've got a room with a closed door, and you can create whatever sound you can do with that door being closed. But then with the key, as you said, as the geometry, opening that door and moving into that room, it's like a great room. It's like taking sound, um, in a sense, from just singing, just a cappella, no, no mic. Well, you could even have a mic, but no kind of effect on the sound. But then you take it and run it through uh, echo or reverb, or you know then it takes and it makes the sound more full. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, I think I understand. So it's kind of like the the right geometry, or the right, with the right sound, can unlock, and then it's like a fuller healing then takes place on
you know
a fuller level.
if you're in a canyon, in a mountain canyon,
Yeah,
and you you make a sound prior to being in that canyon, and it's like, it's nice, but you go in the canyon or atop a mountain, and you you make the sound, and it's like you just hear it for miles and miles and miles, and then it even reverbs or reverberates back to you, because you hear the echo from it. And that's like opening the sound into its that now this is like a three-dimensional expression or explanation of what it would be like.
yeah. No, that helps. That helps. I like analogies. It helps me understand better. So that was a great one, actually. Thank you so much for that. Would
Yeah,
you speak about in the book as well, there actually being 13 chakras?
correct.
Because I was only like I have heard briefly there's other ones like lower than the root chakra and above the crown, but you went into a bit more detail in your book. If you just want to give people like a very quick rundown on the other chakra systems, and when they are activated and why.
Okay. Well, the 13 chakras, first of all, we've got the seven major chakras within the body. We've got many chakras throughout the body, but there's seven major ones, and all the secondary ones all come under an umbrella of one of the seven chakras. So the seven major chakras, and then there are six additional, which are known as the oversoul chakras. And typically in third dimensional practice, those six chakras, there's two below the body, four above the body. And the oversoul chakras essentially are they're literally the universe in existence within, potentially within our physical body structure or body realm. And currently in third dimension, they're the two below and the four above. What we do, and this is something I teach, I talk about it some in the book, and I teach this in the training, where we take those six chakras and they come in and become a greater whole, creating a greater wholeness within our physical body realm. And so they become part of our conscious presence existence within our physical bodies, or again within the physical body realm. And what that's its purpose is, it 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 shows us truly how significantly one we are, because the six oversoul chakras literally represent the universe in totality. And so as they move in through a particular process, they then become, or we become, more clearly one with the universe, as the universe, because the universe is existent within our realm at that point.
So the universe is awakening through our form. That's what I experienced during my Kundalini awakening experience, where it went up the main chakras, out the crown, and it was going up the central channel, all this life force energy. I was gone, one with everything, and then all this integration started happening. It was going, moving, all integrating loads, and it went on for the best, and it is still going on for the best part of 10 years. These, as consciousness of the universe is increasing its frequency and vibration, it's awakening, it's waking back up to itself from a period of ignorance and being asleep. Because I see it as like, it just goes through, consciousness goes through cycles where it falls asleep to itself. Everyone experiences duality, separation, the dark ages, and then it comes back into the higher vibrational and starts to wake up to itself.
Yes, but it's not ignorance.
Yep.
It was our choice.
Right, okay. See, the Buddhists would say, would use the language like ignorance and believe in the separate sense of self. So that's where that would come from.
Well, and the separation occurred when, as we made a choice, or we as higher consciousness made a choice to be able to, number one, exist, and number two, experience this existence in the third dimension. And to do that to its highest potential, we had to separate the chakras out. We had to separate ourselves from the divine, or from higher consciousness, so we could have a unique experience in the third dimension.
Right.
So
okay.
we did it ourselves on purpose. So we could have, let's try this, And
I wonder if it's regretting it. Or we are regretting it.
Nah, I don't think so. Because, again, it's all an experience. I mean, look at what we've been able to experience: light, dark, good, bad, all that kind of stuff. Which, and truly, it's not bad. It's just an experience. And not to say that some things aren't horrendous in the third dimension. I don't mean that. But nonetheless, I mean, we've all had lifetimes of good and bad. We've all experienced lifetimes where we weren't necessarily on what we would call the right side of things. And had we not done, it's like light and dark. How can you experience the beauty of the light without the dark?
You can't. You need the contrast. You need the opposites.
You do. And so that's what we were shooting for. And I believe we've done it.
Yeah, we've definitely done it.
I think we got it.
We definitely got it. I think when you're in the midst of a really difficult time, like people would refer to like dark night of the soul, or a lot of stuff's coming up, or it feels like a lot of karmic stuff is clearing too, it can be quite heavy for people.
Yeah.
One thing after another, and it can be quite heavy. But there is light, and like everything's impermanent, isn't it? That's inevitable. Everything changes.
Everything changes. And the most permanent thing is change.
Very, very true.
You can count on it.
Always. So, 13 chakras, the upper chakras and the lower chakras above the 7, do they start to become more activated then during times of higher vibrational ascension? And this is just another part of the process?
Well, they do, but you can accelerate it. I mean, eventually, through global consciousness, it will all come together. For no matter what you're doing, it will all come together. Or there are particular things you can do to accelerate it. It's like, I don't want to wait around. And I have the conscious awareness that this is going on. So I would like to choose to move into that vibration sooner than later. And the more of us that choose to do that, the sooner it brings everyone else into the fold.
It's like we need to, we need to outnumber the people who maybe aren't quite there yet, or they're not ready yet. And once enough people outnumber, it kind of tips the balance, and then it quickens the process.
And it's not even outnumbering them. It's are you familiar with the 100th monkey? Okay, there's this study that was done years ago where and I'm going to paraphrase it. And a few little details I might not be perfectly accurate on, but there's on an island that was plentiful with these particular monkeys. The scientists went in and they taught the monkeys how to wash their food before they ate it. Well, on an island completely separate, no connection whatsoever. They didn't, traverse between the islands. The other monkeys on the other island began to wash their food before they ate. And so they refer to this study as the 100th monkey. It's like enough of the monkeys on the first island learned to wash their food, and it went into their higher consciousness. And when it was at that point, then the other monkeys picked up that energy as well and began to wash their food. And it's the same thing with us as humans. That when enough of us reach a point of saturation in those higher consciousness practices and our personal experiences moving into a level of higher consciousness, then others will begin to just pick it up unknowingly. Yeah, it's like now children that are being born. You look at the computer industry, and I was talking with someone yesterday about this, where you can find a 5-year-old kid and they know how to navigate a computer and make apps and stuff like this, and it's like, I haven't got a clue, but they have come in with this knowledge, or with the ability to acquire this knowledge, like much quicker than we did. And so the things that we have done, though, has gone into the global consciousness, so it's available for young ones that are coming in now.
Totally get you. No, it's an amazing study that they did for that to happen as well. So it's kind of like the collective, it's gone into the collective, the human higher mind that then feeds into all of us. So then if we can tip the balance or cement it, saturate the higher mind with this higher level frequency, then the next sort of maybe a couple of generations of humans will increasingly become maybe more compassionate, self-aware, and maybe back in tune with our true nature.
True, or whatever it is that is a higher vibration for them.
Yep. So we're going to talk about the crystal energy and grids. How were they harnessed in Atlantis, which you spoke about kind of before? They were harnessing energy using crystal grids. I kind of want to just explore this a little bit more.
Okay. Well, the crystal grids create. I teach a small class on this, and maybe one day I'll get it online where, I mean, it's more fun in person, but it doesn't mean you can't do at least part of it online. I just have to do it. But it's creating, again, using geometry, creating the crystals in specific geometric forms. And there's a particular activation that you do that you can do that ties each of the crystals together. Where and through the workshop I teach people how to use dowsing rods. You familiar with dowsing rods?
Is that what the psychics use? The two things like that? Yeah.
Yeah, or like or a pendulum, either.
Okay, yeah.
And so people, they hear dowsing rods, they think, oh, that's real woo woo, But now I don't know about, and I'm sure it's the same in your country, but here in the United States, when you've got, like the people that work with the water and power companies, a lot of the blueprints for the water mains that are out in the country, some of them have shifted over time, or the blueprints may not be completely accurate anymore. They will use dowsing rods to find the water mains. I mean, you can look in their toolboxes. They have dowsing rods in their toolboxes.
What's it picking up? What's the dowsing rods picking up then?
It's picking up, it depends on what your focus is, what your intent is. It will pick up the energy that connects with your intent, and it comes through your energy, and your energy affects the dowsing rods or pendulum.
Right. Okay, so when someone's using a pendulum for advice, what's happening there? What's happening there?
Well, it depends. It's good to become proficient in using a pendulum, because sometimes, and I've experienced this as well, where I can use one, and it's like I'll connect with my guides first. And if there are particular ones that I'm most prone to work with, then I connect with them and ask a question. But it's got to be a very clear question to get an accurate answer. But in the beginning, I could ask that question. I'd get a yes or a no on the pendulum, and then I'd ask it again, and I'd get the complete opposite. So it really takes practicing to get, to really get good reads. And it's important, one, that you determine, working with the pendulum and your energy, you determine what direction or motion is a yes and what direction or motion is a no. And and same with the dowsing rods, you can modify them and have multiple potential readings to come out, depending on what this direction means one thing, split means another thing, that kind of stuff.
So how does it relate to the grid, the crystal grid?
Well, okay, sorry.
It's okay.
I got off on a tangent there. The reason for it with the grids is because I want people to be able to see the energy before the stones are activated. And so we'll use a particular, like say a hexagon, a hexagonal, a six-pointed grid with a centerpiece, a center stone in the middle. And so I'll have them measure usually with the dowsing rods, the energy of those stones in the grid before we activate it.
So what stones would you particularly use in the center of the grid?
I would usually I'll use the same all the way around.
Okay.
When we get to advanced grids, then I will make some, add some additional stones and vary them a little bit.
Because in Reiki, there's grids. You do a grid in Reiki where you have quartz all around the Reiki grid that they do.
Well, and that's it's a similar idea, but a little bit different in that I don't know if those grids are utilizing, whether they're specifically activated. I don't know if they're set up in geometries or not. When I became a Reiki master, we weren't using crystals. We were just doing Reiki with the symbols
Yeah.
and so on. But you can always add stuff. I tended to not to take away from this, but when the holographic sound work came in, I kind of let the Reiki kind of go to the side. But back to the grids. So I want people to measure the stones first, and they will measure out, maybe 4, 5, 6 feet. The energy will. Once I teach them the activation and they tie all the stones together, so then they're not working as individual stones, they're working as one unit. No matter how big or how small the grid might be. I mean, I've gridded farms, I've gridded houses, I've gridded rooms within houses, I've made tiny grids to when I do a sound healing session, I'll use them and set them on the body over, specific for each of the chakras.
How do you tie the stones together? What do you use? Metal?
Well, that's no.
No.
That's what I teach in a workshop.
We're gonna have to get you to do a workshop because I've had people asking. We're gonna have to get you to do something online maybe for us.
So, but anyhow, so once we do the activation with a grid, just even a small grid, the energy, and then douse the energy will expand out easily 50, 75 feet. From 5 or 6 feet out to 75 feet. I mean, it's amazing when it's like, say you've got 7 people in a room and they're all kind of doing their own thing, just going this way and that way and whatever. So you take them all, bring them together and get an agreement from each one to go in a specific direction for a specific goal. And you've got your 7th one, and that's the one that's in charge and holding the vibration for that goal. And so what you've done is you've harnessed the energy. So you've taken those 7 and brought the energy, focused the energy so you can get so much more done.
So what would they be the benefits of doing this? Say in your house, in your healing space? Like what are the uses of it?
Well, it offers, depending on the stones that you use, you can set up a particular, say a specific grid around your home to enhance the energy of your home, to keep it clear. And if you want particular healing properties, then use particular stones that are known for, whatever healing properties you're looking for. Okay. And you can do. I've got crystal grids all through my house. I've got one under my cat's food. I've got one in my refrigerator. I've got one in the cupboard. I've got a couple in my bedroom. They're all over the place, and they're different. I use different stones for. I've got one in my car to just help protect the energy of the car, and in hopes of enhancing my fuel economy.
It's really interesting. Is there any particular crystal or stone that would be good for like protection?
Obsidian.
Obsidian.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Obsidian is great for grounding and great for protection. But there's another thing, they periodically need to be cleared. All stones, there's only 2 or 3 that you don't need to clear. They're automatically clearing. So most of the others, they need to be cleared.
Which one's automatically cleared, do you know?
Citrine.
Citrine. Okay.
Ametrine.
Ametrine.
Which is a blend of citrine and amethyst. Moldavite, which is an off-planet stone.
Yeah, that's very expensive, isn't it? I've heard of people talking about moldavite.
It's really gotten expensive. Now, I make crystal bowls with moldavite.
Whoa.
And they're not that expensive. But yeah, to buy just a singular moldavite piece, they're expensive. It's really gotten expensive because the only place it comes from is the Czech Republic, and they've really clamped down on. They used to have a lot of bootleg stones coming out, and they've really clamped down on the mines. So
Did it come from
there's
a meteorite or another planet, or like what happened?
yeah, they come from a meteor that hit like 3 million years ago, a really long time ago, and that's where it hit, and it's the only place on Earth where they have moldavite
So
from that
rare. It's
one.
very rare, isn't it? Then.
Yeah, oh yeah, it
Yeah.
really is. I mean, that's the only place you can get it is from that meteor.
So how do we clear then if the other stones that need actually clearance work done to them? How do we clear them?
Well, that's another part of the workshop.
He's gatekeeping. He's gatekeeping the good info.
You can clear. You can. There's in the workshop I teach. You'll have a like a particular crystal, which is it's like a wand. It's a single terminated. Single terminated means it's got a point on one side. And so your energy is only going one way, and that's out that point. And it can be small, maybe 3 inches long, 4 or 5 inches long. It doesn't need to be really big. It's just it's like a wand, and you're using that to direct the energy. So simply taking that and taking your stone, your crystal, and using using the wand in a counterclockwise motion around the crystal with the intention of clearing, and using the wand at least three circulars, because three circles around, because in counter or anti-clockwise, that's creating a vortex of energy. And when you're going counter or anti-clockwise, you're taking physical energy into spirit,
Right. Okay.
and that's a process of clearing. So we're going counter on that, creating that clockwise, that anti-clockwise vortex, and moving that physical energy into spirit. So it's a clearing process, and then we come through with what's known as the light invocation. And using the light invocation just reinforces the clearing. And it's really simple. It's I invoke the light of the Christ within. I am a clear and perfect channel. The light is my guide. And it's you repeat that 3 times. And now be real clear. This is when I refer to Christ, I'm referring to the Christed energy. I'm not referring to any particular being that's walked the earth. It's a level of consciousness energy. It's a high vibration of unconditional love. And there are many masters that we're familiar with that have experienced the Christ vibrational energy, Jesus being one of them, Buddha being another, Krishna another, Lord Maitreya another, and and there's a few more. But
Yeah.
to be very clear, it has nothing to do with religion.
Yeah.
It's the level.
Maharaji Ramdas's guru said, "Meditate like Jesus. He lost himself in love," and that must be what
Yeah,
he was referring to.
yeah,
And
essentially,
yeah,
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 that's what he was
yeah.
referring to.
You're moving into a vibration of like high vibration of unconditional love, and that's the Christ consciousness.
Amazing. So the crystals, they help amplify clear space, and you're just it's like NOS on a car. It's like you're turbocharging it. You're bringing all the bits together, and then you're just amplifying it through this process.
Yes, the
And
same
yeah,
thing with the holographic sound.
yeah.
It's like putting a supercharger on an engine. It just I mean, sky's the limit.
It's so fascinating. I think I think if you ever do create an online version of anything that you're doing, like people would love to join in. Like I think it would be very fun still to reach a
Well,
further audience.
I do have an online a Zoom training that I do with the holographic sound,
Perfect.
but it's the first full step in the holographic sound training is level 1 and level 2. Level 2, I haven't been able to do online on Zoom or with Zoom. It's just we just get too it's too deep.
Yeah.
But level 1, I can. Level
Yep.
1, I've been able to successfully be able to offer, through online training. But
Yeah.
anyhow,
Brilliant. Brilliant. So I wanted to speak a little bit further about the different levels of sort of dimensions. We were talking last time about the three dimension, which we're in now, the physical three-dimensional space. Then
right.
there was the fourth dimension, and you were quite particular about the fourth dimension being a place you don't really want to hang around.
Yeah, you don't really want to hang out there. That's
Yeah.
that's where you find entities, where you'll find beings that have, like, when someone dies traumatically, a lot of times their soul, they don't know that they're dead. They're existing, but they don't realize that they've died. And so they'll end up moving into the fourth dimension. You might have seen movies where you'll see a ghost in the movie, and they don't understand why the other people won't talk back to them or won't see them or something. It's because they're stuck in that fourth dimensional realm, and they don't know how to move on. They don't even sometimes realize that they're stuck in a particular realm.
Can they be stuck in a loop? Can they be stuck in like a loop of maybe doing something similar and not even realizing they're dead, and that just keeps replaying?
Yeah, yeah, they could.
Can they
That
still
kind of.
cognize, do you think? Is there still cognition?
Give me a.
Like, is there still thought? Do you think they're still contemplating or thinking, why can they not hear me? Or where am I? Or is it
Yeah,
just happening?
yeah. Oftentimes it's like they don't know. And then, if they happen to be able to understand or find out, then they don't know how to move on.
So
So,
how does someone get out
uh,
with that then? If they did realize something happens and they did realize, oh wait, I'm dead.
well, how do you get out of that? A
Yeah.
lot of times there are people, a lot of that happened like in the U.S. during the Civil War. There's certain states that were so heavy in uh, uh, unembodied or disembodied souls,
Right.
that didn't know how to go on, and so there are a lot of people, healers and workers with that kind of energy, that have gone in to help them and show them the way to move on.
Okay.
And I mean, I know that's happened everywhere. And in the UK, it's, I'm sure there are those that work in that same kind of process, that
Yeah.
are helping unembodied souls move on into a higher vibration.
I've heard of a woman who was in her physical body, like human, and her job is to help beings in the fourth move on. So
Yes.
she can actually see them. And when she sees them, then she has like a way of clearing. She'll
Yeah.
like speak to them and she'll tell them, and then she'll call in certain people and she'll clear mass spaces of it because she says there's loads, like incomprehensible amounts of
Yeah.
these.
Think about
Yeah,
it. Over how many thousands of years, and look at all the wars that have gone on. From way back from, in our current time. Like what we're experiencing now, what we've experienced over the past couple hundred years with World War II, World War One, and then back beyond that, the Crusades and all the different skirmishes and things that have occurred, particularly throughout Europe, which we have a lot more historical information around Europe than we do the United States. But just imagine over thousands of years.
so yes, I'm kind of imagine it as like the universe defragmenting, like how you defragment a computer. It's kind of doing that in a soul sense, where these beings
Yeah,
going around and helping clear these beings from stuck in that sort of that fourth dimension. So as we
yeah.
move from the fifth is that a nicer place to be?
The fifth is a good place.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've moved beyond that The thing with the fourth is, again, entities and
Yeah.
stuff that, and I don't like to refer to the term particularly evil, but stuff that's just not pleasant and doesn't always have your best interest at heart, will exist in that fourth dimensional realm. And moving on from there, as we move out of that, or able to move out of that, we move on into the fifth dimension, which is a greater level of unconditional love. Like with the Hathors, the Hathors are androgynous beings. In other words, they're in balance. Their masculine, feminine energies are in perfect balance. But yet at the same time, they still present themselves in a masculine form or a feminine form, but yet
Yeah.
in perfect balance.
Yeah. So when like a medium connects with spirit, what dimension would spirit be on? Like if they're connecting with somebody's loved ones and channeling messages and
Well,
channeling, yeah, where would they
well,
be?
it depends. They could still be in the fourth dimension.
Right. Okay. So you need to be careful what you're connecting with and what you're channeling.
Exactly. Because there are fourth dimensional beings that will, when you open a channel up, if you're not clear on where that channel is opening up to, you can, and that's the thing with psychics. It's like it's important that they're clear on where they're pulling their energy from, because they can pull them from imposters, essentially. you
Yep.
know Beings, energies that would be imposters of uh, even an angel.
How do you be clear that you're not connected with something negative or an imposter?
Well, a couple things. One, depending on what kind of guidance they might be giving you, and two, set yourself up so you know you're moving beyond the fourth dimension into the fifth or higher dimensions. With your intention, for one, that's one of the problems with plant medicines, is that plant medicines can open you up, but they oftentimes will open you up into the fourth dimension unless you know how to move beyond that into a higher dimension,
So
into fifth or higher.
I have had this issue. Like I did a lot of plant medicine and psychedelics and stuff like that, and it opened me up so much. I've always had a bit of mediumship and stuff going on. And then there was times where stuff was like speaking through my voice and stuff
Yeah,
sometimes moving my body and I could feel it coming in and then leaving, and it was like my boundaries had gone and stuff was just like coming in, and like I really had to work on protection and stuff like that, and making sure that like before I ever do anything, I'll set like the intention and bring in my guides and different stuff like that to try and make a little bit of protection. But sometimes still negative stuff's happened even when I've done that.
well, when you say negative stuff, what do you?
Well, stuff not leaving, like hanging around or crossing a boundary that I've tried to set as well.
Yeah,
And then not leaving like for like days and stuff like that afterwards. Like I can still feel the energy there and presence, and they're still trying to drop impressions in, and they haven't disconnected.
yeah. Well, and so in a case like that, you need to take action and and do that clearing. Um, and to prevent that from happening in the first place is just making sure and being clear that you're moving beyond the fourth dimension. Because once you're in the fifth dimensions and higher, or fifth dimension and higher, then that's not going to happen. You're not going to end up having people or beings or energies come in that are not wanted.
Could you do us an amazing little, just a little intention that we could say, because a lot of people listening to this podcast do mediumship and are interested in channel and stuff too. Something that we could say before we connect that moves us beyond there, if that's not if we're looking to move beyond the fourth, sorry.
Well, one thing I would, and probably, I'm sure some are doing this already, but surrounding yourself with a sphere of light. beginning, in the
Beginning
beginning.
with that. Okay.
Yeah, surrounding yourself within a sphere of light, brilliant white light. And if you're working with someone else, like if you're doing a reading for somebody, do the same for them. Surround them in that level, that sphere of white light, and then surround the two of you in a bigger sphere of light. And and set your intentions within that. And your intention being that you're moving into higher dimensional realms, set the intention in an affirmative manner. But here's the thing, though: if you're working with someone that is they're asking you to, they want to connect with a someone that's a dead person, someone that's passed on. They may be in the fourth dimension.
So they need to access the fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah. If to say I was wanting to connect with the fifth and beyond, would I just set that as my intention? Look, I'm going to sit here today. I've surrounded myself in the beautiful light. I am now looking to connect beyond into the fifth and beyond. It's something like that.
Well, yeah, something like that. I would set up those spheres of light, and then my intention is simply moving into the higher dimensions from the fifth dimension on. And the beings that I connect with, the guides that I connect with, are purely in that place and beyond.
Are our spirit guides in the fifth and and is the sixth as well? Well, we can maybe talk a bit about
Fifth,
that too.
sixth, seventh, eighth, they're beyond.
Okay.
But now many will be in the fifth, but there will be some that are beyond that, like archangels will be in another realm. Um, and beyond the fifth, I can't really tell you much. There's it's I don't know.
Yeah, that's okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's important to make that intention, and make that intention not that I don't want to be here or don't want to be there, but just simply intend that I am here. I am connecting in the fifth dimension or sixth, seventh, so on. I'm connecting in the fifth dimension and beyond, and make it an affirmative, not I'm not connecting here,
Yeah.
but where I am connecting.
Okay. I get you. Have you ever connected then with the fifth dimension? Is that what the Hathors have connected with you from?
Most of them, some are higher, but
Okay.
most of them are fifth dimensional beings.
Yeah, because I wondered that,
And
like, if they. Sorry, there you go.
as our vibration rises, theirs will rise too. Because we're really interconnected with these beings. They're like big brothers and sisters to us. And they have lived third dimensional life. And from their third dimensional experience, they've been able to ascend first into upper fourth and then on into fifth dimension.
Right. Okay. So what I've heard, like a lot of people right now about like UAPs and UFOs, and there's different sort of races of beings in our universe, in our 3D. They talk about
Uh-huh.
the greys. The greys are one of them. And there's other ones that they say could have basically, they could be disembodied sort of beings. Could you have disembodied beings in the third dimension?
Yeah, well, yeah, you can have ones that are able to exist in the third dimension, like be able to come in and interact in the third dimension, but not necessarily
Like actually be birthed, like yeah.
extended
Okay.
existence here.
Okay. Right. And what's your thoughts on like the greys and the different? I think like there's like mantis beings people talk about, and like I don't know if you know are aware of any other different sort of beings that people speak about, or aliens or whatever you want to would refer to them as.
Well, you could even refer to the Hathors as aliens because they're beings from a different planet. They just didn't come on a spaceship. or a saucer. Um, the grays, they've been around for a really long time. There are grays that are good, and there are grays that are not good, that have no interest in our well-being, other than to try and preserve their race.
Right? Have the Greys always looked like that? I've heard people saying that they didn't, or like something's happened to their form or their planet, or did the Greys
Well,
ruin their planet or something?
they did. They
Yeah.
did. That's why they're coming to ours.
Is that what's coming to
Because,
ours in the ships that are moving, like it moves space time, and that's why we can't see
well,
it?
well, some, but not. But there are many that come to Earth. The Pleiadians, those from Sirius, they they will come to Earth. Um, the Pleiadians they're pretty interactive with Earth. I mean, I've seen Pleiadian ships, extraordinarily, like multiple ones at a time, and they're generally, mostly speaking, benevolent beings. They're here to one, observe, and when they can, to assist us.
Because you would like to think if these are more advanced beings, that then they would be more in line with truth, which is love, unity,
Yeah,
and
you would
oneness.
think that, wouldn't you? You would
Yeah.
think that. But that's not always the case. And there's some things that are confusing to me. When you have a being that's resonating at a higher vibration, but how can they not be like all about love?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. It's like, how does that work?
Yeah.
See, there are things that I still have questions about. We talk about, like if you look back in the Bible, it talks about the angelic wars. Angels fighting against angels. How is that? How is that can happen when they're in a higher dimensional vibration that is supposed to be about love? How
So
can
there's
that
yeah,
be?
so there was potentially wars in these higher dimensions.
Yeah, that's according to the writings in the Bible.
Yeah, and
Of
sort
course,
of
the
the Buddhist
Bible,
canons as well.
you can't really believe everything you read.
Yeah, in Buddhist canons as well, like the demigods are jealous of the gods. There's like war and like striving and all different stuff like that
Yeah,
too. They say stuff like that.
and that's interesting, and again, that just conforms with the duality. I mean, it's duality, um, and I'm not sure how to approach that, or how to really make sense of that. It's whether that's happening on another timeline. That is because it is potential to be in a higher dimension and not be in a dimension of love. Now, our goal is to move into a higher vibrational dimension that is a dimension of unconditional love, or at the very least has a higher vibration of unconditional love than we've got right now.
So if we die and we end up in the fourth or the fifth, is it karma that then would pull us into our next birth, or do we decide?
We decide.
That's what you think. Okay,
We decide.
we decide.
And and karma, I have a little bit different take on karma. And now karma it's cause and effect. You do something that is adverse to life, you experience, or life. Generally speaking, then you that will create a level of effect on you, or you even cut someone off on the freeway. The karma on that is simply the effect. And the effect could happen immediately. You could cause an accident, or it just, that energy piles on and you experience it in another way. But I don't see it that we come into this life with all this karma on us. You know, that's like, you know, in the Bible where it talks about, uh, on one hand, you know, as far as the Jesus story, Jesus died on the cross for our sins. But then on the other hand, and this is kind of heavy in Catholicism or the old traditions of Catholicism, that you're born into sin. So how is that? That's a paradox in itself. It's like, I thought Jesus died on the cross for my sins. How is it now that I'm being born into sin? Being born into sin is like carrying karma from one
Yeah.
life to the next.
That's how I would analyze that phrase. That you're born into sin would be your karmic ties to this birth of what's led you to this birth.
Yeah, and I don't believe that. I don't believe that that's how it works. I believe that we choose, one, our parents when we come into this lifetime. When we're reincarnating into this lifetime, we're choosing our parents. And now we're not necessarily choosing all the experiences that we have, but we're choosing the initial bringing in. And at the same time, we set goals and objectives that we want to experience in this lifetime. Places that we want to move into through our overall vibrational life, our greater consciousness life. And so what we don't particularly rely or we don't particularly choose. Let someone is born and they're born into a life where they're abused as a child. Now we don't choose that, but what we do choose as that end results in this particular life, we do choose to whatever, transcending that abusive experience and being able to gain experience and come to terms with that will move us closer to that end life experience that we want.
Okay.
Do you follow me?
Yeah, I follow you. So do you think it matters what happens at your time of death or what state you're in when you're about to die? Like what you're resonating, what you're vibrating at during at that point when you're dying?
Do I think it matters?
Yeah. Do you think that that can maybe dictate what plane you end up on?
Well, it can for a time, but not like an eternity. You know, someone that, for instance, commits suicide, they can go to a place or to a level where they just have some things to work out before they continue on. But they're able to continue on. And in some cases, they might immediately reincarnate. It's, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know all the ins and outs of that because there's a higher consciousness web that occurs. And you know, when I was 24, I had an opportunity to leave this life and to go on, and it was okay if I did, but I chose to not take that out and to continue on in this life. And having chosen that, I very well could have reincarnated already and be back on this earth again as another being. But I chose to stay with this life.
You had that actual decision to make at that point in time.
I had that actual decision to make.
Incredible. I've heard other people say that too during NDEs and when they've died, they've been presented with a choice and then they've been sent back.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And so I decided to stay here.
Well, you had a job to do.
Well, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Apparently.
Well, so are there hell realms then, or lower vibrational planes that are
No.
very low?
No.
No. I think that's
No.
fear for more of like control and organized
Yes.
religions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's the hell is right here on earth. This is where hell exists.
Yep.
It's right here and now, and we are able, whether you know it or not, we're able to choose whether we live in that experience or whether we move on. You know, say someone that's living on the streets. There are many beings that live on the streets that are happy as can be. And then there are those that are in pure hell.
So it's a state. It's a state rather than
a state
a place.
of consciousness. Yes, yes.
It's very wise. Okay.
And so the hell, and that's the karma. You know, if you want to refer to as karma, it's choosing to be in that place, and it appears as an unconscious choice, but in truth, there's a level of consciousness choosing that also, to remain in that place, because we can choose to move out of it. And again, it's not moving from living on the streets to living in a mansion. It's choosing to, wherever we live, to live in a realm of happiness, or a consciousness level of happiness.
Amazing. And then that can start with just changing our internal world through like gratitude practice and I am statements, and just little stuff like that can really change your internal state, can't it?
That and taking the action of forgiveness.
Forgiveness is a major one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, thank you so much again for joining us. Really good conversation today, and I've really enjoyed delving a little bit deeper into some of the topics. I'm sure it's not going to be the last time we speak. I really would love our listeners to be able to connect with you and anything that you've got coming up. If you would want to let us know, you got any workshops coming up online or in person, whereabouts, retreats?
Well, let's see. I've got, I'll be taking another group to Egypt in March. And the actual date isn't quite settled yet, but it'll be the latter part of March, around the 15th, somewhere around the 15th. And
how long is that trip? Like for?
It depends. I'll vary it a little bit from time to time, but between 12 and 15 days.
Wow. And then what is it, a mixture of all different stuff? Like, just give us a little quick rundown of what you're doing.
Well, it's an awesome experience.
Yeah, it's just cool.
We visit many temples down the Nile. You know, starting from Cairo and then moving down the Nile or up the Nile, up or down, depends on where we start. And we'll visit several different temples, most of the major temples, and do sound healing, sound meditation experiences in the temples. I always take crystal bowls with me, and so we'll have those experiences and activations that occur. We'll do typically 4 days, 4 nights cruising on the Nile. It's such an amazing experience. We'll go to the temple where you find the original flower of life, and you'll be able to see that, etched in the stone. It's amazing.
What is that flower of life? What is it?
Well, let's see. I don't have a picture of it in front of me right now. There is a picture in the book of the flower of life.
Is it sacred geometry?
Yes, yeah. And through the flower of life, it's said that through a geometric standpoint, all of creation exists within the flower of life. All geometries exist within the flower of life. And it's taking the flower of life from its two-dimensional version out into its three-dimensional, its spherical shape. And all geometries exist within that. All of creation, if you're communicating with someone on a mathematical or a geometric level, that would be where you would find all the geometries, is within the flower of life.
Ah,
You
okay.
look at
They were
the
so in tune. They were so in tune with sound and vibration, weren't they?
yes, yes,
That is
absolutely. I mean,
fascinating.
and the Atlanteans, I mean, sound and crystals, that's how they, number one, held energy, and that's how they moved energy. The crystalline technology that was used on Atlantis is, while there's some that is similar to what we're experiencing now, there's also some that's very different. And the difference is that the crystalline structures that they would create that would hold information were buoyant.
Right?
It's like you could actually move your hand into the crystal.
Oh,
And that's how you would pick up the knowledge, the information from it.
it's just beyond that. It's so beyond that I can even like comprehend imagining that happening. And for us to have lost some of this knowledge as well.
We have,
Yeah.
and it's important that we find some of it again, and soon.
Yeah, I hope so. So if people wanted to join you in your trip to Egypt, how do they go about so?
Well, the easiest way would be to go to my website, which is holographic.com. It's holographicsOund.com. That's how you can get in touch with me. And email wise, Paul at holographic.com. So everything is there. If you have questions that you want to directly ask to me, send me an email. I'm happy to answer. And if you'd like to be on the newsletter list, you can sign up through the website, and we'll get you on so you'll receive the information that goes out, weekly.
Bro, well, I'm
So,
sure it sounds really fun, and I hope maybe people want to reach out to you and they can maybe join you on that amazing journey. And I'm sure you've taken so many people to see such amazing sights and to deliver that knowledge to. It must be such a
we're
privilege to do that for people.
coming up on 27 years. I've been taking groups to Egypt starting in 1999. And that's when my first download of holographic sound began, was then. So, and as far, again, on the website, the trainings that are coming up, other workshops, they're all listed on the website. There's some, most of them currently are here in the U.S. I've done different ones in Europe at different times, and I'm ready to come back. So,
Well, we're going to be in communication because I'm sure we could arrange something fun as well. So we'll stay in contact.
sounds great. It's wonderful. Thank you again for having me on the podcast, and thanks to everyone who tunes in. It's been great, and many blessings to you.
Many blessings to all the listeners as well. Thank you all so much for joining in and just listening to some of the knowledge and opening your minds and hearing new topics and learning a little bit more and just connecting with one another because that's so important.
It
And
is.
remembering that oneness and love is closer than we think. We just need to step into it, don't we?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you so much, Dr. Paul. A pleasure as always. Love to have you on again in the future. And good luck with all the stuff you got coming up. And we'll stay in contact, okay?
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, all
Thank you.
listeners. We'll see you again in the next episode. Drop us a like and
Blessings.
subscribe as well if you're listening on Spotify, YouTube. Drop us a wee like, drop us a wee comment if you want to ask a question and let us know what you enjoyed. And I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.